Welcome to the Real Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by
the Resilience DoctHers,
Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
The Resilience DoctHers.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Resilience DoctHers
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with
the Resilience
describe them as an
DoctHers.
excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 239 of the Real Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Resilience DoctHers. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston, and I want to first start off as Principal Hurt stated on his show today, and kudos to him. He did a phenomenal job with the 7 tips. As he stated, please keep Dr. Tammy Taylor in your prayers. She is still grieving and going through that adjustment period. So, there is no time limit on grief. Grief is heavy. It's a lot, especially when you have lost your mom. So please keep her lifted up in prayer. And if you're watching, Tammy, we are thinking about you and we're praying for you. So today we are joined by a longtime Real Fam member and educator, Dr. Michelle Perkins Griffin. She is a STEAM coordinator in Louisiana. So we are thrilled and honored to have her with us today.
Good morning, Dr. Houston. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And again, we're certainly praying for Dr. Tammy Taylor as well. It's truly an honor to be here with you and the Real Academy community. This platform is doing powerful work, and I'm excited to join this conversation today. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for agreeing to be on with me. I appreciate you. So, Real Fam members, I want you to start off like we do every week, telling us what kept you resilient in the work this week. That is, what kept you resilient in the work this week. And if this is your first time tuning in, you may be wondering, well, what's a real fam member? And who are the Resilience Doctors?
And of course, we are glad that you asked such an important question because Dr. Houston and Dr. Taylor are best selling authors, children book authors, award winning educators, and speakers who have transformed their schools after improving their report card ratings 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year.
Absolutely. And after we improved our schools 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year, people started to ask, well, how did you do it? What did you do differently? And that's what led us to develop the real framework that you see behind both of our shoulders and at the top of the frame. It stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. It's embedded with improvement correlates that are scientifically proven to make sure that schools improve no matter what the circumstances are. So we also have our real turnaround model that goes along with this. So if there is a list that you would like to be removed from, if you want a staff that is engaged in the right work and they're happy about it, because that's the key, make sure you contact Create and Educate. As senior staff developers for Create and Educate, we can definitely help. And also keep us in mind for any of your literacy events. We are children's book authors. And so if Amir's Awakening is not a part of your school or home library, make sure that you add that today.
Absolutely. And if you can't bring them in just yet, just keep tuning into the Real Academy, where they have impacted over 300,000 educators and about 7 million students through this free professional development. And starting off each Saturday, we deem it Super Saturday by Principal Kafele. And beginning at 10 a.m., we have Sean Hurt. He had a really great session on this morning. 10:30 a.m., yours truly, Create and Educate, Real Academy, will be on. And at 10:55, the Leader's Mentor and the GOAT, AP and New Principals Academy, with the one and only Principal Kafele. And then on Sunday, the PGP podcast with Dr. Moreno and Principal Josh Fulbar.
Absolutely. And he's actually, Principal Kafele is actually on at 11 now, in order to make sure he can see the end of our broadcast, which we have been honored that he would even consider that for us. So please like, share, subscribe, send the stars, make the comments, do all of the things that the platforms do to help us build these algorithms. And we say please and thank you. And shout out to our platform engineer who is putting your comments up behind the scenes. We appreciate him always. He does a fantastic job. And so at this time, if you're a real fam member, you know that it is real fam shout out time. So shout out to September, Devon Vance Daniel. Thank you for joining us. Coach Dot McKeever Jeter, thank you for joining us. LaKenya Robin, LaKenya Rowland, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And I think, Michelle, it might be a little bit of feedback in the microphone that I'm hearing. I'm not sure. If everybody else doesn't hear it, then it might be okay. It stopped. All right, Queen Jasmine Harris, thank you for joining us. Miss Constance Sherrard out in Mississippi, thank you for joining us. Dr. Rella Hicks, thank you for joining us. Shakur Moore, thank you for joining us. That's in Mississippi as well. Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu, who also has been filling in for us on the Create and Educate the Real Academy. Thank you for joining us. Miss Stacy L. Joy, our brother in the work, who also is a part of the Fantastic Four and did a phenomenal job just a few moments ago. Principal Sean Hurt, he is changing the dynamic of lots of schools and doing great work, and we appreciate him and his support. My mom, Beverly Hall, thank you for joining us. Principal Josh Tovar, who actually will be here in South Carolina, or actually Charlotte, North Carolina, soon today, and we look forward to breaking bread with you, brother. And Queen Jacqueline Harriet out of Nova Scotia, Canada. Thank you for joining us. The GOAT is here, Principal Kafele. We appreciate you always, and we have registered for his upcoming event in Savannah this summer. So if you haven't registered, make sure you get registered. And I believe I got everybody. Thank you all for joining us. You could be doing a lot of things, but you are intentional about being here with us on Saturday. I have a few announcements. Shout out to Reverend Angela Boyd from Mount Oliphant AME Zion Church. They have officially come on board with us for our Real Vacation Bible School curriculum. They are going to use the 5-day curriculum. So if that is something that you have a need for the summer for Vacation Bible School, we have a 3, 5, and 7-day curriculum. So just let us know which one that you would need, and it pairs well with Amir's Awakening as well. Shout out to we're working with a school in DC. Public schools that want to get off the list. So they have reached out, and we are looking forward to working with that leadership team this summer. So, thank you all for joining us. Oh, and one last one. Somebody filled out our contact form. That was Demetria S. Land. Let me pull it up because I thought that it was really nice of her to leave this message. It was from LinkedIn. She said she watches us from LinkedIn, Demetria S. Lane. She said, I discovered Create and Educate on LinkedIn and just wish to follow your upcoming workshops, trainings, and initiatives. I am deeply impressed by the work that you do, and I strongly believe in all of it and I'm a longtime educator and trainer as well. So thank you for that note. That is why we do what we do, and we appreciate you greatly. So we've been walking through season 5, focusing on systems which are respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership that align with our framework. We've talked about MTSS, monitoring, empowering adults, instructional coaching, PLCs, and today we're going to be talking about something that connects to all of those systems, and that is student data.
Absolutely. The data, I should say, it should create clarity and not pressure. And data is most powerful, Dr. Houston, when it is not intimidating educators. It needs to
Mhm.
be informing or driving the instruction. And when our teachers can clearly understand what that data is telling them, they can make small adjustments. And those small adjustments can lead to bigger improvements in the student learning. And the goal for data should be not to judge the last step, but to guide what comes next. So sometimes data in our schools can be a little bit overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming.
Mhm.
And teachers begin to feel like they're just constantly collecting data, but not always sure how to use it.
Absolutely, Michelle. Those are some great points, and I think we've talked a lot about it's the messaging. So it's the way that data is presented. It's what's said when you're providing the data. So as leaders, we have to be cognizant of how is this going to be received. Have I even done anything to make sure that people are ready to receive what's coming behind the message from this data? So when that's done, data should not feel like pressure. It should, like you said, provide clarity, and then clarity answers what are students learning, where are they struggling, and then what needs to be adjusted. And those questions should sound very familiar because they're right from our PLT or PLC process. So many schools are really great at collecting data. We have all of this data that we like to kill the trees, and we got our notebooks, we got everything. But if you are not using it in the proper way, if you're not presenting it to people in the proper way, if you're using it as I gotchas or to demean
Mm,
people or to make people feel like they're not, up to a certain caliber, you're not using the data to build them. So data be used in the most effective way when it's used to build and not tear down. So we gather benchmark data, interim assessment data, we have classroom data, but the question is, are we using it to improve instruction and not using it to point fingers? Oh, well, I can tell the children didn't study. They're just up to their same old stuff. When we use it to blame, that is not helpful.
It's not helpful at all. And the thing about collecting that data is that that's only the first step. The
Mhm.
real impact comes from what we do with it as teachers afterward, right? When educators meet, we come together to discuss that data and plan for the specific instructional changes and courses of action that we need to take or where we need to go. That's when the student achievement can begin to improve. And
Mhm.
so the data should lead to um, not just it being numbers on a page. You walk in sometimes into a principal's office or into our instructional coach's office, and they have data all over the wall, numbers and or colors and names of students who we want to grow or move, and it can become overwhelming. But sometimes we have to get past the fact that it's just numbers on a page, because what we see should lead to adjustments. It should lead to different strategies taking place. It should lead to decisions that we have to make, because data only matters when it leads to us taking action, right? And
Mhm.
it doesn't change instruction. It's just information at that point if we are not leading it to action.
Absolutely, Michelle.
And so when we get into our PLCs, those professional learning communities, that's the best place when the data should come alive. And sometimes over the past, I have noticed that we get into these meetings and it becomes a break from what we've been doing all day long. And we get into the group and we are starting to talk about, oh, this student made me mad. And, we turn into a different scenario and we
Mm.
don't really discuss what we need to be doing. Um, so when we have that data, we bring that with us. Um, it should turn into meaningful conversations where we're talking about the action, collective action, and not us coming together, and or should I say, you're interpreting it in isolation, but we're collaborating together. That's what it's about, collaborating around the data. What new perspectives can we gain from what we're discussing? What practical strategies can we bring back that's going to strengthen the instruction for our students, whether they're in kindergarten or 12th grade, right?
Mhm.
Um, and whatever strategy I introduce, maybe that strategy might work in science. I'm a science nerd, as they say. But if I use race, the race strategy, where I'm restating the question or answering the question, citing evidence, that can not only work in science, it can work in social studies, it can work in math. So we're collaborating around that, right? And it
Mhm.
presents a sense of a shared ownership to where the data now is driven and informed more consistently. The improvement can be school wide and not just based on individual classroom efforts. So when we come together, we should be analyzing student work. We should be identifying the trends,
Mhm.
sharing strategies that work, and perhaps even have to adjust our instruction.
Absolutely. You said a mouthful, Michelle. And one of the first PLCs that I believe in as school starts is that we should be talking about what you just talked about. What academic system school wide are we going to put in place to make sure that our children can really grapple with all of the work in order to make sure that they're all performing? So that is your focus notes, that is your race strategy, that is your annotating strategies. That is teaching them how to study, and that should go across the entire curriculum? What literacy strategies are we going to use across the curriculum? Because if those things are common for children and I'm not using something in 4 different or 6 different places that are completely
Mhm.
different because every teacher does it a different way, that sometimes is what confuses children. So I'm glad that you stated that, because when PLCs use our data correctly, tier one instruction improves, and then those intensities that we have to put in place for children who, when we see that they have moved into, they're receiving tier two and tier three services, that need for those intensities decreases. And that's what we
Right.
want to see. We want to continue to improve tier one. When tier one continues to improve, that means it lessens a tier two and a tier three. And that's exactly what we want to do.
Mhm.
So let's align data to the real framework. So when we're looking at that respect, we're asking, how are different student groups performing? You have some schools who will just go with that broad everybody group and
Mhm.
don't delve down into their demographics, and they never know how everybody's performing, and that is a poor practice. You have to delve down into those groups and look at males, females, your
Mhm.
different levels of your ethnic groups, socioeconomic level, your groups of poverty and compared to the others. So you have to look at your groups, because that's where you determine if there may be some bias going on in the instruction,
Right.
and that's highly probable. When we are looking at excellence, are instructional practices producing results? Accountability, are we following through on adjustments? Literacy, are students accessing content through reading? And then leadership, are leaders guiding conversations effectively?
And that aligning data to the framework such as REAL, it helps schools to focus on what truly matters, Dr. Houston,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just chasing numbers. Um,
Exactly.
it connects the data to the values, the expectations, the instructional goals that we have set up. And when you do that, it makes the conversation a lot more meaningful, and it's
Mm-hmm.
more focused on this growth of students. And when you're tied into a system, then it's not as overwhelming anymore. And like I said previously, it has more meaning, and it becomes a tool for improvement and not just a report that you created.
Absolutely.
And
And oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you want to use it. That's why that messaging is so important, because you don't
Mhm.
want people to feel judged or shut down
Right.
or demeaned. You want people to feel empowered, and the data may not be empowering, but we should be able to coach and give strategies that do make them feel empowered. When they finish the conversation, it should feel like, oh, I can do this. I've got this,
Mhm.
because you have that support, whether it be your teachers who are supporting you with sharing their strategies, or your leadership or instructional coach who's also giving you strategies or maybe coming alongside you. So if data conversations feel supportive, people reflect and improve, and then resilient schools create safe accountability around data. And that's exactly what we want. Data is not about labeling students. You should not be going around talking about tier two students, tier three students, special needs students.
Mhm.
These students are receiving tier two services, tier three services, and special services. We do not label children with those
Absolutely.
labels, because labels mean something to people.
Absolutely. And then not only that, you have to watch how we're talking about these students to one
Hmm.
another, and in what spaces and places that we're having these conversations. And we have to be mindful of what we're saying. And sometimes also when we're talking about data, the culture in which we create. We want that data to be that culture to be a safe one where teachers feel like you mentioned, they're not being blamed for different things. They will shut down on you. They will not. You will have the quietest PLC, you know. And it'll be like pulling teeth without anesthesia, you know. So it
Mm-hmm.
should be focused on growth, not blame. Um, and when they our teachers understand that we're here to problem solve, you should have come and feel supported,
Mm-hmm.
then they can be more honest, right? They'll be
Right.
more reflective, because what we don't need is anybody fluffing the data. That's going to be a problem,
Right.
you know. And maybe my data may not look like yours, and that's okay. Don't make me feel otherwise, like I'm not doing such a great job, but
Mm-hmm.
just show me some ways, some strategies that I can improve, um and then you're building me up as a teacher and not tearing me down.
Absolutely. So, we really appreciate your insights, Dr. Michelle, and we definitely thank you all for joining us for episode 239 of the Real Academy. And once again, Real Fam, please keep Dr. Taylor
Yes,
and her family lifted up in your prayers. She definitely, needs us to rally around her in this moment.
yes, yes, yes. We're certainly praying for her. And I say thank you for allowing me to be a part of the conversation again. This has been wonderful. This has been absolutely wonderful. And the work that the Real Academy is doing, Create and Educate, Dr. Tammy and Dr. Houston is doing, is powerful, and it matters greatly.
Thank you. We appreciate you being willing to join us. You did a phenomenal job, and we appreciate the fact that we have real fam members who can just jump in here at the drop of a hat and do as well as you and Dr. Melissa have done. So thank you so much. And we are the Resilience DoctHers, helping you create and educate so that you can thrive. Be sure to join Principal Kafele next. He is in the AP and New Principals Academy, and he has a phenomenal roster of superintendent women, Dr. Kim Carter, Dr. Catrice Piera, and Dr. Tina, I think it's Halloway. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but join them next. I know that's going to be a powerful conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Be sure to join Principal Josh Tovar and Dr. Mari Moreno on Sunday for the PGP podcast, and then right back here on Super Saturday, starting off with Principal Sean Hurt, who always keeps us on fire at 10 a.m. Yours truly, Create and Educate at 10:30, and the AP and New Principals Academy at 11. And we are Super Saturday and Sensational Sunday. So have a real amazing Super Saturday. Thank you, everyone.